Hello everyone. Today I am going to describe ceramic conductors. As already we have discussed some conductivity in ceramics, dielectric properties of ceramics, semiconducting nature of ceramics, and some semiconducting materials we have discussed. Now we will go ahead in ceramic conductors. These are the basic heating elements and electrodes like silicon carbide, molybdenum disilicide, lanthanum chromite, tin oxide, and zirconia. Generally, these heating elements are used in the furnace elements for temperature at which most materials either oxidize or melt. These are generally application in the term of resistor is more apt than conductor, since resistance is necessary for Joule heating. So for these heating elements, this Joule heating is necessary. It is advantageous for such components to be ohmic in their behavior, but it is not essential, as suitably controlled power supplies can be devised to compensate for both non-linear voltage current characteristics and high temperature coefficient of resistance. So these are some characteristics: see, high temperature coefficient of resistance, non-linear voltage current characteristics, etc. And resistivities at around 0.01 to 1 ohm meter are convenient, as this allows the impedance of rods up to 1 meter long and 0.5 to 2 centimeter in diameter to match into readily available power supplies. It is possibly but impracticable to form ceramics into replicas of the wire windings that utilize metals with their much lower resistivities, around 10 to the power minus 7 micrometer or ohm into meter. Sorry. In cases where reducing atmosphere can be tolerated, there graphite or refractory metals such as molybdenum and tungsten can be used. Generally, we have discussed about this. We will discuss about these ceramic heating elements, but for reducing atmosphere, the graphite heating element is used, and some refractory metals such as molybdenum and tungsten used for the reducing atmosphere. While platinum and its alloy can be used safely in air up to 1500 degrees Celsius. Ceramics allow the use of air atmosphere at relatively low cost. So this is the main application area for ceramic heating elements. Ceramic that is air atmosphere, reducing atmosphere, that is graphite or refractory metals such as molybdenum and tungsten. Okay. Now we are going to this silicon carbide heating element. It has hardness at approximately around 9 on the Mohs scale, and for its high strength mechanical at high temperatures. Okay. This passivating silica layer protects the material from corrosion in oxidizing atmosphere. So the silicon carbide, it reacts with environmental oxygen and creates some silica layer that protects it from corrosion in oxidizing atmosphere. The rate of reaction between silica and SiC limiting the practical operating temperature in air up to 1650 degrees Celsius. So this is the limiting temperature for the silicon carbide, as there is silica and SiC, so it works as a 1650 degrees Celsius. It is also, silicon carbide is also have application in abrasives, as a refractory, a furnace element, and for voltage sensitive resistor, also known as varistors. So these are applications for SiC. For most purposes, it is made by the method device occasion. There are some synthesis method for silicon carbide. One is this occasion method, that is all in 1891. Generally, by this accidentally silicon carbide formed by the reaction with carbon, and there was some present alumina. Alumina, also known as corundum, and then there is some carbon is there due to that its trade name called carborundum. Okay, the carborundum company was formed in 1891 to produce SiC for grinding wheels, and the Agassiz process involves passing a large electric current through a graphite resistor packed around with a mixture of sand and coke. Temperatures approximately 2500 degrees Celsius are reached in the reaction zone producing SiC and CO. It is in the Agassiz process. Now, silicon carbide is covalently bonded with a structure similar to that of diamond. Now we will study some SiC structure, and the SiC is generally covalently bonded and its structure is similar to diamond. Okay, there are two basic structure. One is cubic form called beta SiC, and another one is hexagonal another one is rhombohedral form, also known as, and also with many polytypes. So this beta SiC transforms irreversibly at about 2000 degrees Celsius to one of a large number of hexagonal polytypes. So beta SiC after 2000 degrees Celsius converts to hexagonal polytype, and it will not come back to this cubic beta form, beta SiC. And another one is rhombohedral form. Both the hexagonal and rhombohedral forms are commonly referred to as alpha SiC. So you have this beta SiC, cubic form, and alpha SiC, hexagonal and rhombohedral form. Okay. Now the combination of high strength, particularly at high temperatures, high thermal conductivity, and low thermal expansion, which combine to impart good thermal shock resistance, have placed the ceramic in the advanced high temperature engineering applications. Okay, and pure cubic SiC is a semiconductor with a band of approximately 2.3 electron volt. Pure cubic SiC is a semiconductor 2.3 electron volt, and is it transparent with a pale yellow appearance in transmitted light. Okay, this hexagonal form or alpha form is having band gap of 3 electron volt. The wide band gap of SiC offered the realization of blue light emitting diodes. This beta SiC 2.3 electron volt is semiconducting nature, and alpha SiC having blue light emitting diodes is also a semiconducting nature. Okay, and this blue light emitting diode is replaced with the gallium nitride semiconductor. Okay. There are three principal methods of manufacturing the types of silicon carbide heating elements. One is pressureless sintering, also known as recrystallization. Another one is reaction bonding, and third one is in situ formation of SiC from carbon and SiO, silicon oxide. Okay. Now method 1. Approximately 95% of element, you can say heating element, can be manufactured from this method 1. Is the straightforward sintering or recrystallization of alpha SiC. Here is not A means alpha is there, by mistake it is A. Okay, alpha SiC grit, which is formed into a rod or tube and sintered in a carbon furnace at approximately 2500 degrees Celsius. Okay, to give the component the necessary low resistance, cold end terminations, the pore volume of a predetermined length of the end section is infiltrated with silicon or a silicon alloy. The above outlines the manufacturing route for one-piece elements. This is for one-piece element. One rod is heated, is sintered in carbon furnace at around 25 degrees Celsius, and then the end of this rod will be having some porosity that infiltrated with the silicon. And in fact most rod elements are of three-piece construction, in which the low resistance cold end sections, silicon or silicon alloy infiltrate, are manufactured separately from the high resistance hot center section, and then this separate portion is joined with the reaction bonding process. This is the most economic approach to manufacturing elements. Now method 2. The precise amount depending upon the porosity of the original preform. The element fabrication route starts with a mix of alpha SiC grains carbon powder and plasticizers, being formed into the required shape by standard ceramic processing, usually extrusion or injection molding. These are the processing of ceramic processing methods to form SiC rods. The green foam is then brought into contact with molten silicon, which by capillarity permeates the pore space, siliciding the carbon and forming a secondary phase of SiC, which bonds to the primary SiC phase. This is the general method for method 2 for preparation of SiC heating element. Okay. Melting point of silicon is around 1410 degrees Celsius because of the need to remove the native oxide layer coating the SiC so that the silicon weights the grains. The infiltration is usually carried out at temperature greater than 2000 degrees Celsius when alpha SiC forms. About 2000 degrees Celsius, you know that this alpha SiC forms. The removal of the native silica layer depends upon the ambient and in a neutral atmosphere. Reaction bonding can be effected by at lower temperature forming beta SiC. Okay, so generally we are proceeding with higher temperature around greater than 2000 degrees Celsius. The material is fired again in a recrystallization process which involves heat treating the rods at approximately 2500 degrees Celsius in an inert atmosphere. This process transforms any beta SiC to the alpha modification and partially removes residual silicon, permitting control over electrical resistivity. The resulting ceramic has a low porosity and consequently a long service life. For rods, low resistance cold ends may be joined to high resistance hot joint lengths by reaction bonding. Then the method 3 currently is followed. Very less heating elements formed by this method 3, and a carbon tube is heated at a temperature of about 1900 degrees Celsius in a bed of sand, SiO2 and coke carbon. The tube may be directly resistance heated or heated directly by a sacrificial carbon tube of smaller diameter. Silicon monoxide from the SiO2C reaction infiltrates the carbon tube, transforming it to beta SiC. After the siliciding stage, the SiC tube is readily removed from the bed and any residual carbon burnt out. Okay, these are the three methods for SiC formation, and we have seen that generally it is used around 1450 degrees Celsius, 1650 degrees Celsius, and some synthesis methods for SiC having three different methods. One is pressureless sintering, another one is reaction bonding, and third one is the in situ formation of SiC from the carbon and silicon monoxide. And these are some important points for SiC. In most cases, the ends of the elements are flame sprayed with aluminum to make good electrical contacts with the power leads. SiC heating elements, depending upon the grade, are routinely used at temperature up to about 1500 degrees Celsius. We can go up to 1650, but routinely we can go for 1500 degrees Celsius. The unglazed variety rely on thin native passivating silica film for their protection against oxidation. SiC heating elements are very widely used and likely to be found wherever high temperature technology is involved in the laboratory, and particularly in the ceramics, glass and metallurgical industries. This is the application for SiC heating element. Now in one slide I am going to explain molybdenum disilicide, that is the general formula is having MoSi2 and up to temperature 1500 degrees Celsius it can be used in air. Its resistivity behaves as is expected for metal, increasing from about 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 ohm metal, because it is having generally molybdenum, so its resistivity at near about metal, and at about 4 into 10 to the power minus 6 ohm meter at 1800 degrees Celsius. So with increasing temperature, this resistivity is decreasing, means this due to the movement of electrons, this resistivity decrease. Okay, so no sorry resistivity increased, as in the case of metals. With increasing temperature, the resistivity increasing. Similarly, in this molybdenum disilicide, with increasing temperature, the resistivity is increasing. The commercial Si2 heating element known as Kenthal Super. This is the important term. for molybdenum disilicide. It is known as Kenthal Super as a commercial purpose. Yes, ceramate. Ceramate is generally ceramics and metal combination. Ceramate consisting of mixture of particles bonded together with an aluminum silicate glass phase, which forms about 20% of the total volume. To fabricate the elements, a mixture of fine Si2 powder with a carefully chosen clay is extruded into rods of suitably diameters for the terminal sections and heating zones. The rods are dried, sintered and cut to various lengths. The heating zones are bent to the required shapes at high temperature and then welded to the larger diameter terminal sections. The best grade of MoSi2 element is capable of operating up to 1800 degrees Celsius. So its operating temperature having around 1800 degrees Celsius of best grade. Because of the nature of the phase composition, a MoSi2 heating element will soften at high temperature and therefore is usually mounted vertically. If the furnace design calls for horizontal mounting, then some refractory support has to be supplied. So how this MoSi2 mounting in the furnace it is, and this earlier we have studied SiC, in that horizontal mounting is important. Now coming to lanthanum chromate. Lanthanum chromate having formula of LaCrO3 having a perovskite structure was developed for electrodes in magneto hydrodynamic MHD generators. Initially, for this purpose, this lanthanum chromate dating element has been used. Where hot electricity conducting a slide containing potassium is passed through a duct across which there is a strong magnetic field. So there is chance of potassium contamination, maybe you can say corrosion due to the potassium. The electrode material is required to be electronically conducting and resistant to corrosion by potassium, and allowing for some cooling. It must be able to withstand a temperature of 1500 degrees Celsius for at least around 10,000 hours. As I have already told that the LaCrO3 having perovskite structure, RTO3, R is lanthanide and T is a period for transition element. In the cubic cell, R occupies the cube corners and T the cube center and O the face center, so you can say FCC, face entry positions. The excess charge is neutralized by the formation of Cr4+, which results in p-type semiconductivity with hole hopping via the localized 3D state of the Cr3+ and Cr4+ ions. As we have discussed in the conducting ceramic part, that hopping mechanism between this different oxidation states, difference between around 1 CCr3+ and Cr4+, it is changing, so it is known as hopping conduction. And the concentration of Cr4+ can be enhanced by the substitution of strontium by lanthanum. A 1 mole% addition of SRO causes conductivity to increase by a factor of approximately 10. So strontium addition can lead to the conductivity enhancement. Satisfactory conductivity is maintained up to 1800 degrees Celsius in air, but falls out at low oxygen pressure, so that the upper temperature limit is reduced to 1400 degrees Celsius when the pressure is reduced to 0.1 Pascal. A further limitation arises from the volatility of Cr2O3, which may contaminate the furnace charge, because chromium oxide generally having a green color, and it will you can easily see the contamination in the furnace. Lanthanum chromate loses chromium at high temperature, leaving an excess of oxide ions. The combination of high melting point 2500 degrees Celsius, high electronic conductivity about 100 Siemens per meter and at 1400 degrees Celsius, and resistance to corrosion has led to the adoption of lanthanum chromate for the interconnect in high temperature solid oxide fuel cells. Okay, so it is generally used for the SOFC, solid oxide fuel cells. Now coming to the tin oxide, SnO4 has found application in high temperature conductors, ohmic resistors, transparent thin film electrodes and gas sensors. It crystallizes in the tetragonal rutile structure with cell dimension A474 picometer and C319 picometer. In the single crystal form, it is known by its mineralogical name cassiterite. Okay, and band gap is around 3.7 electron volt at 0 Kelvin, and therefore a pure stoichiometric SiO2 is a good insulator at room temperature when its resistivity is probably of the order of 10 to the power 6 ohm meter. Okay, very high resistivity, so it is a insulator. In practice, both natural and synthetic crystal are oxygen deficient, leading to donor levels approximately 0.1 electron volt below the bottom of the conduction band, and consequently to n-type semiconductivity, as we have already discussed in the semiconductor part, that where is n conductivity, just below the conduction band there is a one layer. Doping the crystal with group 4 elements also induces n-type semiconductivity. The usual dopant is antimony, so group 5 dopings, you can say phosphorus, antimony, these are the having these will give extra electrons to the structure and will provide n-type conductivity, n-type semiconductivity. An important application of tin oxide in ceramic form is conducting electrodes for melting special glasses such as those used for optical components and lead crystal tableware. So tin oxide is generally used for a special purpose for optical components and lead crystal tableware. The ideal glass melting electrodes should have a high electrical conductivity at room temperature and of course at glass melting temperature, and a high resistance to corrosion by the glass. In addition, it must not discolor the glass. SiO2 is the only material apart from platinum which fulfills the requirement for glasses containing lead oxide. Okay. Now the oxide powder together with binders is commonly isostatically pressed into the forms and fired in oxidizing condition at approximately 1400 degrees Celsius. Under these conditions, sintered densities in the range 6500 to 6700 kg per meter cube are achieved. Cooling from the sintering temperature is carried out in part in nitrogen atmosphere with the object of creating electron compensated oxygen vacancies, and so enhancing room temperature conductivity, which is typically of the order of 10 to the power 37 per meter. The high conductivity minimizes Joule heating in the electrode region outside the molten glass. So this high conductivity is also a detrimental effect in this. And the form of the glass melting furnace is shown in this figure. In practice, the electrodes may well be substantial part of the furnace. In both sides, there is, you can see tin oxide electrode is there. There is a melting glass. This is a refractive furnace structure. Okay. The elements are resistant to attack by glass and so have long service life. Okay. Now coming to the zirconia. This is used as a NANS filament. Once used as a light source, consisted of zirconia doped with thoria and ceria. Preheating the filament to about 600 degrees Celsius using an external source reduces its resistance to value which permits direct Joule heating to be effective when temperature of up to 1800 degrees Celsius can be attained. More recently, the development of stabilized zirconia has made it possible to use zirconia-based ceramics as furnace elements. Its high negative temperature coefficient of resistance makes it necessary to have a resistor. Zirconia was one of the earliest ceramics in which conduction by oxygen ions was observed, and now this characteristic is exploited in fuel cells and sensor technologies. Okay, thank you all. In next class, we will discuss some superconductivity in ceramics. Today we have discussed some conductors of ceramics like zirconia, 1800 degrees Celsius, and tin oxide that is having temperature at around for this glass melting temperature we can use say that 1500 degrees Celsius, or we can use above. And lanthanum chromite, high melting point having 2500 degrees Celsius its melting point, and at 1800 degrees Celsius in air we can use 1400 degrees Celsius when high pressure, reduced pressure is used. So in between we can use this lanthanum chromite and molybdenum disilicide. It's having conductivity near about metals. operating at around 1800 degrees Celsius, and silicon carbide or use it around 1650 degrees Celsius. Okay, thank you. We will meet soon for the superconductive applications of ceramics. Thank you.